you can bury the workman, but the work will go on. You can silence the voices, but you can't stop the song.
Welcome to Wheeling the Pathways of Life Unplugged with your host, Brain Fitzpatrick. Wheeling the Pathways of Life Unplugged is a snapshot of the day-to-day experiences of disabled individuals as they navigate the world around us. We wish to shed light and open your eyes on a new perspective of people with disabilities. And by going unplugged, we can discuss viewpoints we hope will challenge our viewers' points of view. Most of us have disabilities we must live with, but what defines us is the way we deal with them. And now, here's your host, Brain Fitzpatrick.
Good afternoon, folks. This is Brain Fitzpatrick. I have a very special guest and very important guest. Returning mayor, the mayor of the city of Pittsfield. How you doing, Mr. Mayor?
I am doing well. How are you?
Good. Mr. McKinney, I'm gonna hit the ground running.
Okay.
See if you remember what we're talking about today.
I don't even remember what I had for lunch. Never mind what we're going to talk about.
Especially since I only gave it to you 5 minutes before the show today. But why did you decide to come on my show today?
Because you invited me. And I think we have some important things to talk about that are coming up in the near future.
Yes.
I don't want to steal your thunder. I could take over the whole show on you, but this is your show.
No, you and I and the commission are doing a walk around the city, particularly Park Square area, in July 11th. And one of the things that it's going to entail is recognizing that it is Disability Awareness Month in July. July is Disability Awareness Month. And what I'm going to do is we're going to do it in conjunction with first Fridays, because it's easier to not have to do logistics with traffic and stuff like that during regular days of the week. And we're also going to have a little discussion time in
Satilli Park.
After, so people can ask questions and stuff like that. We're trying to invite everybody that can make it, from the DPW to the city council, including yourself, to see what it's like to travel around the city in wheelchairs. And, we're not going to have wheelchairs. They're unsafe for people. That's too much of a liability. and not enough personnel to do it, but give people an idea of what it's like to handle lights that are on push buttons that are too high. People who have problems under pressure crossing the street with people not waiting long enough for us to cross or being polite and stuff like that. Just giving people the opportunity to realize we're normal people like everybody else is. Hopefully it goes well. And what I'd like to ask you about is, what are some of the things that you'll be interested in looking? I know you said you want to just be a blank slate, but are you truly ready to be thrown in the mix of it and see? I know you work a lot on making things better, but we're gonna show you some of the areas that aren't as good as what they should be in.
I think that's important. And when you look at a situation, we all look at it through our own lens. And my lens is different than yours, which is different than the next person. And it'll help focus on, especially at crosswalks or intersections, the amount of time it takes me to cross the street is different than the amount of time it would take you to cross the street. And if I'm only caring about me and only paying attention to the time it takes me, then the light's going to turn green and you're going to be in the middle of the crosswalk. So I think those are important things to look at, and properly designed sidewalks at intersections, and different widths, and it'll be perfect because as we're beginning to talk about a new redesign to our downtown in North Street, we don't want to be creating things that then create obstacles for other folks. So it'll be a perfect time to be taking the walk and having the conversation.
As many people almost probably cringed when they heard that, because how many redesigns in North Street has there been in the past? But like the mayor said last time he was on the air, this is not the typical, we're not going to get into a lot of the back and forth of who did what. We're going to get into how we can make this a better city for all of us.
And I think when we look at the downtown, we did a pilot study that's still in pilot mode. We never went back and said what worked or what didn't work, and now's the time to correct, I think, some of the wrongs that we see. And if we've decided that it's safer for one lane of traffic in each direction, then we should get rid of the other lane that looks like it's traffic possible.
For those people that think, I know there's people that think you make decisions, which you do as mayor, but all the changes that we're talking about have to go through the city council.
Well, there are certain changes we can do on our own, and there are other changes that would need to go through city council.
What I'm saying is, not all decisions. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
What I'm saying is, all the changes in the city of Pittsfield don't just go through the mayor. So there's things that the mayor may not agree with, that the city council does. So not everything that he suggests is going to be adopted or looked into as thoroughly as it may, as it could be. But we do the best we can.
Yeah, I mean, we will continue to propose ideas and let the city council determine whether they're the right ideas or the wrong ideas. And sometimes we submit things that are great, sometimes we submit things that are not so great, and sometimes we submit things and we meet in the middle with what needs to be done.
I don't mean to make light of it as a bad thing, but I'm saying not everybody agrees, and you are prepared you're prepared for the long haul as far as making those hard decisions as a team.
Yeah, I mean, the more that you work with the city council, or the more I work with the Commissioner of Public Utilities, or the more I work with the Disabilities Commission, the better product we get. And this is a difficult enough job as it is to go at it on your own, especially when you have willing partners that want to help you make the right decisions or explore different ideas.
Yeah. And what we're also doing something real special. I've never had the opportunity to do one before, but we're gonna do a proclamation on that day. It's to commemorate Disability Awareness Month. And folks, as I have said in the past, and the mayor has said, and I keep going back to this because it's true, the mayor is the first mayor that's ever agreed to come on the show. And
maybe I'm the first one you asked.
I am, because most of the time it's been, I was put off a lot by, other administrations, but, to go from nothing to doing a proclamation and an event is a huge compliment to me, compliment to what I'm doing as far as making the city better. And I really appreciate the opportunity to do all that.
I mean, I think that folks take things for granted, right? My life experiences lead me to think and do what I do, and your life experiences have made you make decisions that you need to make. And I was at not too long ago, one of my cousins had passed away, and one of my cousins is blind, and listening to him speak and talking about how his brother would take him to the beach and show him the beach and describe him the beach is kind of cool, because you figure out, all right, how do you help someone depending upon the circumstances that they're in. And for all of us that just go about our daily lives and don't think about where does the push button need to be on the stoplight in order to get the light to turn so you can walk, or
how do you tell a blind person that it's okay to cross with no, I know the answer to this, but this is those questions are the ones you gotta ask yourself. Well, how do you tell a blind person when it's okay to walk?
Well, and so now we have those.
Yeah.
When you push the button, it talks to you.
Yeah.
It'll tell you don't walk. It'll tell you to walk. And so, those are all kind of things that you need to think about. I spent a lot of time in banking, and in the early days of ATMs, they didn't have Braille to help people be able to use an ATM, and now we do. And we have them where you can speak a different language, and a whole host of listening devices that can go with them. So, we've made a lot of progress, and the only way we can continue is by doing events and advocating for awareness, so that it's not just me or you thinking about it, but it's 10 other people thinking about it. And somewhere along the lines, when we're having these conversations and doing proclamations and kind of commemorating and advocating for a cause or causes, someone's going to come up with a really good idea that no one else thought about.
One of the things that bothers me is when people say reasonable accommodations. That is one of the biggest words in the ADA, because what's reasonable for me isn't reasonable for other people. And people take that to the extreme from the financial point. What's reasonable as far as a paycheck? What's reasonable as far as a paycheck to buy these things? But I guarantee you, if it was one of your family members or one of close family members of the people we're going to be dealing with on the walk, I think they would change their mind real quick.
Well, until someone experiences something that changes their day-to-day viewpoint or operation or what they're used to, and it's easy to say, right? Yeah. What should I be doing? How do I make accommodations? I think reasonable is different to, if you ask 20 people what does reasonable mean, you're going to get 20 definitions.
It's like playing phone in school.
Yep.
Somebody passes a note to somebody else, and you get one definition or one statement, and by the end of the time you get a whole different interpretation of what the situation is. And believe me, this will not happen, and I'm going to make sure of it. But the last time we did a walk, I don't know if you were there, 5 years ago, I think, I actually almost got run over.
Well, we'll make sure that doesn't happen.
No, I almost got run over, and I kind of did that on purpose. It wasn't planned, but that was an opportunity for me to show people that it does happen and it needs to be addressed. And what it was is I had told the officers, everything was going perfect. Everybody was behaving themselves. And I told the officers, back off a little bit. Go hide. Or go stand, out of sight a little bit. Because everything was behaving. And you know. And the second I did that, you know, it happened. It was a scary moment, but it also showed, you know, that it's a real problem too. And that's one thing that I don't want events like this to become a dangerous situation, but I also want to keep it real so they can actually see what actually happens. You know?
It's an opportunity to make people aware and to educate.
Yeah. And one of the things that doing in July gives us, not only is it close to the, we're not doing it on the week before, we're doing it on the week after, because I know the 4th of July parade is going to be real busy, and, you know, tying that up with something like this is not the best time to do that. So I think we found a good alternative area to do it. And I think safety-wise, it's going to be good that we're doing it on streets that are already shut down and stuff. So, Mr. Mayor, one of the things that I'm going to ask you about is, what do you see in your time here so far in the city, in the mayoral role, not just a leader of the city council? What do you see as the biggest obstacle for the city as far as the disabled and physically challenged that we need to overcome? So far, I know there's going to be more, but I'm just trying to gauge what you've seen so far and see what you think we need to focus on more.
Probably accessibility. As we talk about, let's just talk about City Hall. The elevator is pretty archaic in City Hall.
I'll tell you something. The other day when I did that item in the City Hall chambers the other day, I was the only one, along with one other person, that can fit on the elevator because of the size of my chair and
Yep.
stuff. So we need to definitely do something about that.
So accessibility, paying attention to the pathways in the downtown, paying attention to access points in and out of City Hall. I think we talked about this before, but the ramp that comes out from the side door, to me, is always a little interesting in the wintertime when it's covered with a little bit of snow and ice and you're going down that ramp.
Yeah.
Where do you end up if you skid off the ramp?
Yep. And I think rather than doing it metal, I think we could do something a little bit more sidewalk type thing. I mean, we can talk about pouring cement or something like that, because I'll tell you something, being on that ramp is a little bit bumpy You know, if it's shaky when you're going down the ramp, you kinda you kind of forced to kind of chatter your teeth as you're coming down the ramp because you're kind of bouncing around all over the place and there's holes in the ramps and that you can actually, they're not too big, but if these chairs actually get stuck on ramps like that where, you know, so I think we need to, that was a good idea back in the 80s, back in the 80s and 90s, but I think we need to,
We need better.
yeah. Also, one of the buildings that I think we need to focus on, and the entire city council agrees with me on this, I think, is we need to work on the police station as being accessible.
We definitely need to do a lot of work with the police station, both from an accessibility standpoint, but also from its rundown standpoint.
Yeah. And I think, I know you have the Commission for People with Disabilities, but I also think we need to, you and I can talk about this afterwards, but I think one of the things that I'd like to see is we need a liaison either in your office or somewhere in the city council for, no, in the mayor's office or in City Hall. Actually, there's people that are in there, but they don't have the experience with disabilities as I do, or as someone with disabilities do. So if we can figure out a way to have people's phone numbers available, or people that want to communicate with somebody like me, or somebody with a disability that has these experiences and these challenges, I think that would help considerably.
That makes sense.
Not saying that the commission doesn't do a good job, because they do, but I'm saying someone in City Hall, like a couple times a week or something, to actually bring up some of these issues.
I think we have two different offices that can happen. One, the Human Resource Department could be, and then also the Chief Diversity Officer could be another that we could be having these kind of conversations with.
All right. What I was kind of looking for is, I know I do it a lot with UCP, where I set up specific office hours to go in and be available for the public to talk to me or people like me with disabilities.
So you're looking for someone from the Disability Commission to hold office hours, or someone that works for the city to hold office hours for Disability Commission?
I'm talking, you need somebody from the commission or someone like me that can come in and be available for any disability questions, or someone that needs to go out and look at a building from my perspective, see if it's accessible, see if it's, you know, what they can do is far as what I think would work better, or what the commission would think that worked better with working with the building department. or
Building
the
maintenance or building inspector or both?
Building inspector and building maintenance, you know. For example, like BMC. I think there should be someone in there all the time, because specifically elevators breaking down all the time in buildings like that.
Yep.
You gotta be able to keep them up. Over half the calls that I hear over the BMC for the fire department is typically over 50%. This is just rough numbers. 50% of the calls I hear are people stuck in elevators.
That's a lot.
Because they either have so many or not enough people to work on them, you know. Yeah.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people.
So, man. They had one today before I came over. By the time the fire department got there, because of the policy of the hospital already had them out. But I mean, that way, that ties up a lot of personnel from the fire department to go out there and fix elevators, and you know. I know for safety they have to go out, but I mean, if there was a program set up specifically to go out and check buildings like that, I don't know what the...
So the building inspector does do code enforcement and code violation checks on a regular basis. So if there's specific buildings that we're thinking aren't done, then we should have a conversation with the building inspector.
Yeah, but I'm just pointing out things that I'm saying. Even BMC, even buildings that are very, very up on code enforcement fall through. And I understand people are people, but it's, you know,
Yep.
it's gonna happen, but somebody's gonna end up getting hurt one of these days.
Makes sense to me.
Even this building, getting into this building right now is a challenge for me in a wheelchair. Also, Mr. Mayor Marchetti, also, while we're talking right now, I'm also doing another production in the middle of this one.
What do you mean? We're here. You can't be two places at once.
There's another production going on behind the scenes.
Okay.
Working on a documentary for people to realize what I'm doing, and to try to make the city better, and showing people actually that people like us are making a difference, and seeing what's actually going on. And part of the production is going to be at that event in July. It's going to show a lot for people to realize, okay, he's right. This is a problem. What I need from this show and what I need from other shows is people to get behind me. The mayor and I cannot do it alone. We need help. We need people to realize, okay, if I can just take volunteer time and make a difference and make a park look better, or volunteer to fix a sidewalk or something like that. I mean, I know for liability purposes, people can't go in there and just volunteer to rip up a sidewalk or something. But other people's ideas and other people's opinions about the way things need to be and how other people can look at things is what we need. Would you agree?
I agree. And I think that's true for all of us. I'm not going to make changes by myself. You're not going to make them by yourself. I think Kathy Carcady and the group of folks that serve on the Disabilities Commission are doing some great work, but they can't do it alone and they can't make change by themselves.
Yes. Just while we're talking, I am proud to announce that this show and this crew, including my director, my camera director, have received awards and recognition for the work we are doing in the city and the volunteerism that we are showing as citizens of Pittsfield and the surrounding areas. And I'm very, very proud of the team and what we are able to do. And it will continue.
And we'll do our best to highlight some of that in the proclamation, to talk about who's doing what and how we're making a difference.
Yes. Even though I'm a pain in your butt, you must think I'm making a difference in some way, or you wouldn't continue to come on the show.
Well, I mean, I think that anytime someone is doing something to raise awareness and to help people see things in a different light, it's a good thing, right? I think many of us can understand, but I don't think that all of us can fully grasp the difficulties or the challenges that lie in the way, right? I don't have to worry about if the sidewalk is completely flat or if there's a sidewalk pothole or whatever you want to call it. I don't necessarily have to worry about it. Sure, I could trip, but the impact to me versus you would be different based on the design of a sidewalk or the design of a crosswalk intersection.
And what I'm hoping for this sidewalk and walk in July is people will get behind me and say, okay, let's kick this off as a starting point to make things better. We've done too many things behind the scenes that people don't know about. It's time to get out there and show people that even though we have a physical disability, everybody's got disabilities and or excuses as to why things can't be done. It's not time in my life. I don't have time in my life to waste time with excuses of, we don't have the money for this, we don't have the, ways to get things done. If we don't have the money, either find the money or find a group of volunteers that can do it.
Well, and if we do the right planning, we should be planning for the money at the same time we're doing the planning.
Yeah.
So.
One of the things we're working on is transportation coming out of when you come out of the hospital at night, because there's no way to get home unless you come home by ambulance.
Yep, we've had a couple of those conversations, and I think it requires all of us working together. The city, some of the agencies that provide transportation, including the BRTA, and some of the private companies, that we all need to kind of come together and find that solution.
And let me tell you, to be honest with you, when I realized the mayor and I have been beating our heads against the wall, trying to figure out ways to get the BRDA to realize that. But
I think we've made some progress with some additional night paratransit routes.
Yeah.
We're making some progress. We're not there yet, but we're making progress.
I hear they're already talking with the state. They're talking about it. This is not in the pipeline that's finalized yet, but as part of their fundraising, they're talking about continuing the free paratransit past September. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but we'll see. Not that we're all looking for free ride, but we go through enough with disabilities. We go through enough with medical insurances and getting equipment, stuff like that.
Yep. Well, I think one is affordability, and two is that they actually exist, right?
Getting around should not be a hindrance if you don't have the money to get around.
Makes sense.
So, what I would strongly encourage people to do is be willing and be able to call the mayor and talk about this stuff and be willing to express your concerns and be willing to open yourself up to letting them know letting the mayor know and letting his people know what you needed as a city, what we can do collectively as citizens of Pittsfield.
Yeah, I mean, I think if people have concerns about public access or other accessibility issues, they should call the office 499-9321, or they can always email mayor's office at cityofpittsfield.org.
Yes. And I think next week, if my technical people are listening, I'd like to make a graphic with that and have that available to be put up so that that's always recognized, so that people can understand and be assisted by it. And one of the things that I will suggest,
I don't take suggestions.
is put a spot on the city website for specific disability questions, specific disability type subjects to so you can filter them.
Suggestion box online?
Yeah.
Okay. There isn't one already on the Disabilities Commission page?
If there is, I don't know about it, but
Okay.
yeah.
Well, we should check it out.
Kathy Cook. That would be a Kathy Cook question.
Let's see. I don't know if I have enough internet access in here.
Live on here, we're looking.
Keep on talking with me.
So, this is, what do you find what do you find as, in the last year and a half, or almost 2 years now, I think it's been almost 2 years.
Year and a half. Don't push it.
Year and a half. Oh, what have you had the opportunity to realize? Wow, we have made a difference. We've got so much more to do. Where do you think we're at with everything as a whole?
So I think we've made some good changes in terms of our budget priorities, and we made some decisions last year that have really paid off in terms of monetary value that will come back into place. We've got tons of work on housing issues and housing affordability, and housing is a really expensive venture for us to do. When you take the Wright building on North Street and look at that and Jim's House of Shoes, you're talking 27 units of housing at a cost of $19 million. So we've got a lot more housing stuff to be kind of looking at. And when you think about housing, I think about senior housing and how we haven't had any senior housing built in my lifetime. And so how do we go about doing that? And how do we ensure that we have enough handicap accessible units as well?
One of the things that I would suggest, and this is only a suggestion, by wee birdie sitting on the corner, chirping away, is we need to stop thinking about building other buildings and utilizing the buildings we have.
Well, and in some of our housing stuff, we are looking at that. We're talking about Hibbard School, the old Hibbard School on Newell Street. How do you transform that from a vacant building to housing? There are some stretches of upper floors of North Street. How do we reconvert those to housing? And we've been having a conversation of how can we transform some housing units into a variety of other housing types just by doing some rehab.
One building that I can think of, I don't know if it's utilized now, but the old Fabric building over on Plastic.
Yeah, that's actually still being used.
Okay.
Not by a lot, but it's still being used.
Okay. But, I mean, if a building like that can be taken over and modified,
Makes sense.
we wouldn't have a problem.
Yep.
And as far as the homeless, and we are working on it, and we as a collective aware of what you guys need, and we're trying to get out there and get it and stuff, but it takes time, it takes money, and believe me, I will be persistent over the next year and ongoing years to continue to poke at the mayor, even the governor of Massachusetts, Governor Healy. If you're listening, I'd like to get you on the show. Shameless plug. But I'm willing to stand out there and be your voice and be your advocate. If you don't feel like you can talk to the mayor, or talk to the commission for people with disability, you can reach me at wheelingthepathwaytolife@gmail.com. That's wheelingthepathwaytolife@gmail.com. And get in touch with me, and I will even send you my personal, if you're local, I will send you my personal text number in case you guys need to get a hold of me and be able to communicate directly and figure out what you need and figure out ways that we can help you collectively as a city.
Okay.
And Mr. Mayor, I don't think you would give me your personal phone number, but if you wanna share emails back and forth, I'm more than willing to do that as well.
Yep. So the office number I said before, 499-9321.
Yeah.
Email is pmarchetti@cityofpittsfield.org or mayor's office @cityofpittsfield.org.
And as you know, I will be in your office real soon to continue these conversations.
You know you're always welcome.
Plan the next time that we're gonna be available to have you on the show and continue to bring light to these issues, but also highlight the fact that Pittsfield is coming back, and it will come back stronger than ever.
One day at a time. We got some work to do, but there's a lot of issues that impact us as a city that are also impacting every other city across the nation. And we go to work every day working to find new companies to move to Pittsfield, and have been having some of those conversations, and hopefully we can announce soon that we've got a company or two to move to Pittsfield. We can show some excitement with the expansion of Patrika, and we're working with a couple other local businesses that are looking to expand. So, we focus on our downtown. We have very few vacant storefronts in the downtown. So, again, working to continue making progress for Pittsfield.
One thing that I will say is any building that any company that we bring in has to be accessible to
Absolutely.
the disabled. And I will hold you to that as far as making them accessible for employment and physically.
Yep.
I think
Definitely.
that's one of the biggest things. People have got to realize we're normal people too. We put our pants on one leg at a time like everybody else. So,
Hear you loud and clear.
we need things too. So, Mr. Mayor, between you and I, And everybody listening, we will get it done, but we got a lot of work to do.
Yep. And we try each day. And we make some progress, and then we make some more.
And I appreciate you taking the opportunity and working with me behind the scenes to get some of these things done.
It's the way to get things done.
This has been, with that, folks, I thank you. We need to realize that communication is the most important thing. What we need as a disabled, community, and what the community needs as a whole. And knowing where that line is, and knowing that we are part of that community too. If we, as disabled people, only focus on what we need, it's not helping all those other people as well.
We got to focus on everyone.
Because when we focus on us, we're also focusing on them too. What's better for us is better for them too. Because one day, everybody's gonna need some assistance. So if the assistance is there, it's easier to get to. It's just, somebody's gotta start it somewhere, and that's what we're doing. Trying to start process one wheel at a time, shall we say. It's, one wheel or one pathway at a time, because there's multiple pathways, not only in the city, but in other areas too, that I don't even know about. So that's when I need people to tell me what's their pathway they're looking at that needs to be addressed next. With that, folks, I just want to say again, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for coming on every time I ask you to come on. And I promise I won't put you on the spot 5 minutes before the show and send you the information.
Oh, you mean like you did this time?
Yes.
Okay. Did I do okay?
Yes.
You didn't stump me?
No.
Okay.
And you won't come back again.
Told you before I will.
So, folks, I just need you to let me know and let the mayor know respectfully what you need and what you would like the mayor to focus on. And keep in mind, with the climate we have in the political world, we may not be able to do things right away, but in some way, shape, or form, you will be heard, you will be dealt with respectfully, and we will see what we can do. With that, this has been Brian Fitzpatrick, bringing you an episode of Wheeling the Pathway to Life. Have a good afternoon, and I will see you all next week. Thank you.
Can bury the workman, but the work will go on. You can silence the voices, but you can't stop the song. 'Cause when the spirit's moving, His will be done. You can bury the workman, but the work will